Indian corporate governance domain. Today, India is the sweet spot for the world to look for business and investment opportunities. And when India is eyeing towards $5 trillion economy soon, it's the thought leaders of the corporate India and the board of directors precisely. Boardrooms are the place where fortunes of great companies are written. And with this Boardroom Talk series, we ensure that those boardroom inside stories are there for you to get inspired from and get the best practices of those boardrooms. And it's, the complete pillars of those boardrooms, whether it is independent directors, executive directors, women directors, CEOs, CXOs, they play very, very crucial role. So we bring all of them to you through this Boardroom Talk series. Before we start with our, very, very interactive session with Sucheta ji, let me share a little brief about Mentor My Board. Mentor My Board is today a brand known to even Finance Minister of our country, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman ji. We conduct and hold various certification programs like WOOM, Ideal, Boardroom Mastery, and lot many, initiatives. Our Board Tattva series, our coffee meets are well appreciated by our members and board aspirants. Log into the platform of Mentor My Board to get access to huge, blogs, tools, interactions, lot of content, lot of mentoring sessions by mentors. We have 60 plus mentors on the platform, and most importantly, more than 2000 plus other board leaders and aspirants. So join the momentum of platform Mentor My Board. Now, welcome to this 52nd Boardroom Talk and 10th in this series with eminent board leader, Miss Sucheta Shah. So, welcome Sucheta ji to this Boardroom Talk series. It's indeed pleasure to have you with us.
Yes, we're looking forward to a great interaction.
Thank you. So, before we move forward, let me briefly introduce the illustrious profile of Sucheta ji. Ms. Sucheta is the promoter director of Atlas Integrated Finance Limited with over 30 years, 3 decades of experience into the financial advisory services. She is independent director on various listed and unlisted companies. So very precisely 4 listed companies, 2 unlisted companies. She was chairperson of FICCI MSME Maharashtra. She has been on advisory board with Ethics India, a Legacies Group company. She has been associated with FICCI Ladies Organization since 2003. And she was the chairperson of FICCI FLO Mumbai chapter for the year 11-12. Now, at present, she is the National Governing Body member and the zone head for MSME at FICCI FLO. She is also the founder of Grameen Initiative for Women, a Section 8 company. The main objective was to upliftment of the women in our society. She has done her master's in the management finance from SPJ Institute of Management and BCom from the Sydenham College. Now, wonderful profile, Sucheta ji, such a huge experience into the financial domain, and we are really, really happy to have you with us today. And before we start, let me ask our viewers, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our YouTube page, our LinkedIn pages, so that you keep getting the timely notifications about such interesting, interactive talks with eminent board leaders. So, welcome Sucheta ji to this talk show, and I welcome you and all the viewers on this Sunday morning to this show. So,
Thank you.
good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome. Yes. So let me ask you, about your brief journey. Can you tell me more about your journey on how you, became involved in the world of finance, the corporate governance, and leading to your role as promoter director at Atlas Integrated?
So I was always interested in the finance field, and so I did my BCom and I specialized in finance. Initially, I took up that was a great learning. I took up first bank uh, and then with a CA firm. So there I was that time, this investment banking was called the merchant banking. So I was heading, I mean, their divisions, and that was an experience. And then wanted to start something on my own. So the NSE came up with this stock exchange membership. We took it up that time. And so along with the financial advisory, the covering everything, wealth management. And over the years, we grew, we added more and more licenses, more and more services, and we grew over a long time. And meanwhile, I used to even the corporate managers on finance. So there was a lot of learning on corporate governance, and were wanting me to go ahead with it. And corporate governance became a part of everything because I believed that ethics was very important. So to grow with that, it is you have to be true to yourself and you have to grow. So that's my journey. This has been always with me and learned a lot, but have been growing with that. Right now, also, we are into portfolio management and we do a lot of advisory. And there is one very specific this thing which we really go for is MSME advisory because wants to go for, but there are these smaller ones. They want either to divest their stake or they want to. So they are the ones who really need the help. So that is where we are working on.
That's really an awesome journey. That's really an awesome journey. So with this, I would like to also understand, because I one thing which when I speak to a lot of promoters and founder directors, they say no, I don't want to be independent director. Probably, if something goes wrong with the other company, that can impact my company also. So when you were running your own business, what was that trigger point when you kind of became you became independent director? And you have recently, I mean, currently you are on 4 boards of listed companies and even 2 boards of unlisted companies. So what was that trigger for you? And what were the key challenges you faced? If you can share some corporate governance kind of learnings and key best practices.
See, I was fortunate. What happened is that when it became compulsory for a woman independent director, and at that
Right.
point of time, I told you that I was giving these lectures at these institutes, and there was some connect, and one of these it was a family owned joint. Then meanwhile, I had other, of course, initially to join maybe a little networking, but then you had to give yours. That came later. I became, but
Right.
the most important thing I feel is that you have to look at the management, because if the
Hmm.
management is positive and wants growth and is willing to accept recommendations and would want to is responsible to the shareholders, who believes that shareholders is equally important, and just the company growth is not. So that is most important, because whatever you do, it's it is the management which you have to go with, and if you're positive, everything else will run smoothly. So for corporate governance, I would say, see, it's independent director is a very, very fine balance between management and ownership. So it is you have to make sure the company also grows, at the same time even shareholders are taken care of. But these are not the only two, because there are so many other stakeholders whom you are responsible. For example, the creditors. So you should be aware of the NPAs for the employees, then what how the company goes, then even say community as a whole, whether they are following the environment standards or not. So you
Right.
have to make sure that they follow all this. And it is, most companies with good management, they do it and they are willing to take it. But as an independent director, you have to make sure that all this is taken care of that way.
Super. So, your, with your such a huge experience, I mean, the exams and all came in 2019, and
Yeah.
you have seen the corporate governance evolving. So, if I may ask you one key learning as independent director, which you will like to share with our viewers. I mean, whether it is preparation before the meetings, or how do you ask questions during the meeting, some key learning which probably you might have experienced, that yes, that was very effective way of participating in the board meetings. So anything
Yeah.
which comes to your mind.
No, it is extremely important. In fact, I think it's a big learning for us also, because
Right.
when I'm in the finance field, so you learn, you have to be prepared. You cannot go you have to study the agenda, you have to understand the industry, you have to understand each and every point, what will it lead to, what will be the topics, and even what the and sometimes it may happen. So there is the returns were not met. So even if others agree, you don't want to, you put down your point, and it's not necessary to thrust upon the management. Maybe they have a different point of view, but you want to put it, but make sure it is minuted. That is something you have to be strong enough to make sure that it is minuted, because
Absolutely.
they may be right, so you may not be able to, but study, make sure that you are aware of what is going on. It should not be that it's just that because everybody's saying yes, you say yes. You can have your own opinion, and at the
Right.
same time you make sure that it is minuted, because it's so this is very important. And learning, I think I have learned a lot from my co-directors. I have learned a lot. And even this one thing which has come of corporate, that independent directors, independent meeting, which is independent of the management, which is compulsory, but
Absolutely.
also brings out huge, very good points, which
Right.
are conveyed to the management later. But in within us also, we're able to come to right points, and then one is to one talk with the management is also very important. So that is there. So make sure that things what you have doubts are clarified.
Wonderful. So rightly said. And I think, yes, when regulations made a change, and that was, I think, a very, very welcoming move of having a separate meeting of independent directors. So true. So, now I move to my next point. During your tenure as chairperson of FICCI FLO Mumbai and also MSME Maharashtra, when you have been leading various initiatives for FICCI FLO. Now, what are the initiatives and the strategies did you implement to support and promote to grow the micro and small enterprises in the state,
Yeah.
and what I think some key learnings from your
Yeah.
journey on that part.
So first I'll start with FICCI Flow, because I have been with Flow since 2003, and 2011-12 I was chairperson. So that time I did 3-4 new initiatives, and some I followed, of course. First was which I started, which was a support cell for women entrepreneurs. So we had
Okay.
mentorship, consultancy, and we had very good people joining us as mentors. And so all the
Great.
Flow women who were interested, would in their businesses, even the small micro businesses, could ask for, they needed funding, they needed marketing, but they could go through this and go for mentorship. And I know people who've taken up this and have gone to long like real long big businesses. They've grown into
Wow.
big businesses, so that has been,
Amazing.
so that was one thing I started. And this, in fact, the national governing body, they liked it in 2015, and then they took it up at a national level, and it was followed at all the chapters that time, so it was like all
That's
India.
awesome.
Yeah. Then second was I did a skilling at the rural level, where we had 100 women skilling and these self-help groups. So they started. Then the third was there was it was a sanitation project which was launched a year before, but I there were 10 schools which we gave sanitation to, and then those schools we even gave cycles for the children too, because they were traveling. So these were the small things during my tenure as a chairperson. And then later on, because of this, I also in 2018, because of my flow, this thing, FICCI MSME Maharashtra. There, what we did was there was a lot of you know these new things had new government inside, like trades, gem, and so many new. So we organized workshops for that. So that was real MSMEs who could make use of all the government incentives. We created awareness. We had workshops. So the SME listing was a new thing at that time, 2018-19. So that we created that awareness, and they learned all that. So that was the thing what we did. And so that this is flow what I did. And right now also I'm working on the MSMEs, we're creating that awareness. And at FICCI, of course, there is a lot of events can happen at whatever state. A lot of events can happen at whatever state. So that's the way it is.
Absolutely. I being uh, just one minute. I think there is some sound problem.
Sorry.
Okay.
Now you
Yeah.
can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you
Yeah.
now.
Hmm.
So what I was saying is that amazing initiatives as FICCI Flow, the chairperson in I think 11, 12, and again as heading the MSME vertical in the entire Maharashtra region. So when you really talk of various initiatives of FICCI Flow, I think I have also seen the impact what FICCI Flow has been creating. I'm also a member of FICCI Flow, and it's really always amazing to interact with you on that part as well. Now my next question comes is you founded a company or initiative, a Gramin initiative for women, which focus on upliftment of the women in the society. So can you share some success stories and impactful projects which you
Yeah.
took up under that? Most important thing is one thing probably I'm sure if you can throw some light on when we really talk of the financial freedom, so if you can have some thoughts on that, and what were the
Uh,
initiatives you took up there?
yeah. So there was one very great initiative. We did a lot of we used to make sure that at the lower levels, at the grassroots level, took up that grassroots level at the urban cities. So we started this Roti project, which was in fact a suggestion by one of the flow members only. And we thought that let us start that. And we got some women together. We tied up with HUL to take their attas. We would make rotis. We would give it to the corporates, and at the same time, we would give it to these. There was an NGO which was giving chapatis to the schools all over Mumbai. So then we made sure that they got all these, they gave the chapatis to them. And so it was a combination of both. So we those women earned money. We got at a discounted rate atta from HUL. We gave it to them, and at the same time we did. So that was a roti project which was very good. The other project which we did was, of course, we worked on the sanitation also here. Then third is we started looking at the artisans. Then what happened is that it was actually becoming a little more time, because then there are these, now they have taken these artisans and craftswomen from the rural areas and are building articles from that and selling it. So now I'm not very active with because it was becoming too much for me to take it at an all India level. At Mumbai level I could do it because there were so many other things I was managing, but it was helping women at all levels, even at
Wow.
urban and at
Super. So, in fact, that actually brings me to a very different question for you. When you have seen so much of social impact, initiatives, you have been involved so deeply. A lot of people feel, that's okay. We are too busy and we can't, devote time for social kind of initiatives. So, how would you correlate your lot of those initiatives as far as the social impact is concerned, and how it has helped you in your own business to, kind of be more focused, be more I mean to scale it up? So has that any correlation? I mean, how has been those roles in the social impact sector helped you in your business? Because one thing which I keep getting from people, they always say they need advisory board member banna hai agar kisi not NGO pe, that involves a lot of time, so we can't devote that time. So what are your thoughts on that?
no, in fact, I would advisory board is that's fine. It's when you have to do the work, because helping at, I'm telling you that there is a lot of learning for us also when you teach.
Absolutely.
Like say when I did that skilling project, I did it Sai Baba Seva Dham year,
Mm-hmm.
and we skilled 100 women. I that organization is doing so many things. It is helping the army. So then you get to know these self-help groups themselves have become,
Right.
and they are doing such. Then their organization skills, their learning skills is also helps us to learn that
Hmm.
how do you take them, how do you get them into the main, contact you that okay, this is a problem, can you solve this for us? This is some so social initiatives, in fact, you should not consider them as social. You should consider them as only the return may not be money, the return or the growth in those sectors. That's all.
Super. Wonderful. Wonderful. And
So it's not
again,
it's
when we really talk of the corporate governance,
Hmm.
So, any experience on corporate governance importance in the not-for-profit organizations? I mean, you've seen, I mean, a lot of not-for-profit businesses, not-for-profit associations. So, what has been the governance practices? Can you share something on that?
See, for NGOs, no, this government rule, which is 15% is only the maximum that you can keep. The remaining has to be used. See, earlier, what would happen is that you keep adding these things, as you know, of course, FDs, it is added, but that 15%, whatever, then there would be bigger corpus and less of giving it, less of actually using lesser, because they used to think, okay, it's all right from the sometimes what very good things, even FICCI is a non-profit NGO, but it's a non-profit, and so many projects which we do, loan it's very good, and they are used for that end purpose. I mean, the money is raised for it and used for it. So you can see that it is used in such a positive manner, and then when they get these results, it's the best thing. So I see that the government comes out with good rules, and you make sure that they are followed properly, things will go. You just have to follow the rules, and your articles of association have to have, and you have to make sure that that is there. In fact, that is even for a board, I would suggest that you make sure that all those activities are there in the articles or the memorandum.
Amazing. Now, I mean, so simply with simplicity, you actually correlated the governance in the not-for-profits and how it can really be implemented even in the boards also.
Yeah, and most
Now,
important is that yeah, I just want to that none of the
yeah,
trustees know. The trustees have to make sure that it is for the governance, so that the rules I told you, following the rules, you cannot take anything for yours, nothing for your personal expense.
right.
So that has to be taken care of. Yeah.
Super, super. So this takes me to another question. Now, in your opinion, what are the most critical trends and the challenges which you have, seen in corporate governance? Because I think you have been independent director for so many years. You have
Mhm.
seen corporate governance evolving. So, what has been, your experience on the governance mechanism today? And again, I connect this with, the initiatives of Mentor My Board. If you feel, I mean, what are your
Mm.
thoughts on Mentor My Board? And if you can give one suggestion you would like to give us as founders of Mentor My Board.
No, that is, see, before that, I will say that, see, there are different things which can happen. Not, I'm saying over, say, for example, if it's a family owned,
Yeah,
right? So then there could be, the minority shareholders. You have to make sure that, that their dividend policy, or their, they may, has to be, that it should be helpful to the shareholders too. The minority shareholders have to be taken care of. Then there could be some sibling rivalry. So family, there are different types of corporates also. You have to make sure that you don't be a part of it, and you put your point that doesn't need to be. So there could be problems like minority shareholders or sibling rivalry. Then, for example, then it's the other way around. Say if it's a professionally managed firm, then what could happen is that the risk taking capacity is low at times. They are not willing to take that risk to grow. So you can say that, because it's not that every time you have to be safe. The independent directors can give suggestions for growth, that it's okay, you take a little risk when there is enough profits or something. So that is there. And at times, when it is a professionally managed company, that if they are not induced well enough or something, the management may become a little complacent. They feel, oh, it's running the way. So that is where you play a role. Then sometimes there are joint ventures. So then you have to make sure, like there is a foreign company. So then the financials have to be reported separately.
right,
Then safety standards. So standards of a foreign company and an Indian company would be very different. So
right,
you have to make sure that both are taken care of. And and after that, the shareholders are benefiting,
right,
or all the stakeholders, including both the joint ventures, both the
right.
corporates, both the shareholders. So that is
Absolutely
there. Then, of course, non-profit, which I said, is that you adhere to your, that I think we've already discussed.
correct.
But so there are different types of companies. The larger ones, just depending on what the problem is, you have to see who the stakeholder is, who it is. You have to keep your advice, and of course, most important is that you have to look at the bottom line, the financials. Is that is something I do give a huge importance to.
Right.
That at the end of it, you do the expenditures, incomes, everything, but financially, it has to be a viable project, whatever
Viable.
you go ahead.
True.
And your next question was my advice. I would suggest that there is nothing like there is nothing like don't worry about giving the exams. You can give it as many times. In fact, it's a big learning. Whether you become an independent director or not, I still feel that you have to go for the exams because there is a lot more to understand about the corporate company. So that
Correct.
exam, so that is there. So don't worry. And lot of them are worried about the liabilities. You
Hmm.
know
Yeah.
the criminal liabilities. I understand. So as I said, study of the management is important, and there is this insurance policy, the directors and office insurance policy.
True.
Make sure, and I'm telling you, all normally good corporate managements, they do take that policy. So make sure that that policy is taken for you, so that you are safe from your side. You minuted it, and also I also would say that trust the management. Also, SNE, don't be negative that they're there to do something wrong, because it's their company after all, and they have to do something. They are going for growth. So
Absolutely.
maybe that sometimes what happens is that they get overexcited about the growth, or sometimes they're complacent. So you have to just create that fine balance.
Amazing. Super.
So be that open. That is one, and give your recommendations. Be absolutely open. Don't worry. Just give your recommendation.
Super. So, means so finely, I think points you have shared, as independent directors, what all they can do. Now, one advice to mentor my board where we should focus, or your thoughts on mentor my board initiatives.
Yeah. So the advice you could give them to is that be thoroughly prepared,
Hmm.
and it's just that if you can work on some policies, like where we work, that I'm just saying that just go a step before. I'm trying to, being an MSME person also, I'm trying to join the two. See, there are a lot of MSME incentives, but try to get women on MSMEs also.
Right.
Yeah, maybe family. So what? So that they are already trained to go on the corporate. In fact, one of the things I believe that the government, the incentive from MSME to becoming large is, and it doesn't have to be an independent director. A woman director itself, I feel, can give a lot of I can say contribute a lot,
Yeah.
because the thought is different. It's not that happens is that the management is so concentrated on growth in business that they don't see the other part. So start, don't wait till it gets listed. Okay, there is independent directors only for listed companies. The woman independent director,
Right.
I'm saying,
Right.
is for listed companies. But don't start having an independent director right from even before it becomes listed, the large, because that is
Absolutely.
where, and I think this you need to do with the corporates, with the MSMEs, that you need to push that will bring that external or contribution, which may really
Perspective.
help for the company to grow. That's all.
So nice, so nicely said, ma'am. Thank you so much on this. And in fact, at Mentor My Board, we have been doing a lot of initiatives. And for example, our board suit program, wherein we have been really working with MSMEs to completely transform their boards from the leadership perspective, one level below the boardroom, so that the directors are able to focus more on the growth, at the same time getting outside in perspective. So we also have been creating advisory boards for the corporates. So and again, because the governance is only spoken for those 7-8 thousand listed companies today. There are 7
Yes,
crore SMEs and MSMEs in India who still are going to move to corporatization, and that's where
exactly.
even the focus of Mentor My Board. I mean, I always keep speaking about this point, so you connected the dots so beautifully. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
And
and because
you're
actually independent woman director is only top 1,000 listed companies.
exactly, exactly,
And
exactly.
why that should be one or two or just, I mean, why there should be there can be as many. And so it's let's not restrict ourselves. Let's go
Superb.
all out.
Absolutely amazing interactions with you, ma'am. Thank you so much. It's 11:30, and I know we have so many questions, but the time is a constraint. But thank you so much for
Anytime.
your presence
It's
with
it's
us
been a
today.
pleasure. It's been a pleasure. And at any time, any query,
Absolutely,
thank you.
absolutely. So, I surely would love to interact with you much deeper, insights on MSMEs and how MSME, how we, can help a lot of MSMEs, to kind of formalize their boardrooms and make their leadership so strong, so that they are able to take that leap of growth. So, we have wonderful kind of what you call inputs coming in our chat box also.
Yeah.
So do read out those, and if you can answer to them, please do that. And again, thank you so much for being here with us. Let me also share with you all that fifth batch of women on management and boards, for which FICCI FLO Mumbai has also collaborated with Mentor My Board, is starting soon, and do join the pool of board ready women. Also, stay tuned for the most exciting event of Mentor My Board, that is Women Directors Conclave, which is happening in December 2023 in Mumbai. So this was the event where last year we had Honorable Finance Minister of our country coming in and launching this program called WOOM. And do write in chat whom do you want to hear on the best governance practices in our next Boardroom Talk series. Stay tuned for the next week's Boardroom Talk with yet another personality from the Indian boardroom industry. Thank you, Sucheta ji, for your views, sparing your Sunday, morning with us,
No, it's
and
okay.
thank you to all the viewers for being there with us in this Sunday morning. So, looking forward for yet another interesting session next week. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.